Greetings, I'm the Vulgarian Troglodyte. Today I'm gonna do another episode of Vulgarian Talks Art. This series used to be called SJS Talks Art, but now that I have rebranded into Vulgarian Troglodyte, my friend Tony suggested that I would change the name to Vulgarian Talks Art. And maybe I should also change the name of my podcast to Vulgarian Recommends, but we'll see about that. But anyway, I don't have too many topics for this video, because this is of course a video series where I kind of talk about multiple things inside one video. But today I'm gonna talk about my favorite new director, or my new favorite director, and then I'm gonna show you some books that I bought recently. I mean, only one of them is like an actual book, rest of them are manga. Then I'm gonna talk about a book that I read, which I really liked, so I want to recommend that to you. And that was kind of something that I mentioned recently, as it was already my plan like a month ago to read it around the Christmas time, and I managed to read it, so that's good. And then in the end I might be a bit self-indulgent and talk about my weight loss journey a little bit. As I've said, I think it's kind of a good for me to record the journey a little, just to remember how it was. And it has been going really good, so I'm gonna talk about that a little bit in the end. Yeah, but there will be timestamps if you are only interested in one thing out of these few things that I'm gonna talk about. Yeah, but let's talk about the director thing first. So I've been rewatching some Eric Rohmer, like I was planning to, and I rewatched Boyfriends and Girlfriends, for example, and that went up in my estimation a lot after this rewatch and became another favorite. And now Rohmer is the director that has most films on my favorite films of all time list, 10 in fact, and then he has also made many other films that aren't on that list that I really like. So I think I'm now at the point that I have to say that David Lynch is probably now my second favorite director, and I think Eric Rohmer is my favorite director. I just absolutely love Rohmer's films, and he has both the quantity and the quality down. I think his films are very rewatchable as well, although I've kind of started only rewatching them in the past year or so more, so obviously we'll see how that works out in the long term, whether they will really be rewarding after many rewatches. But I think I'm currently at the point that I can say that Eric Rohmer is my favorite filmmaker. He just has everything that I like currently. Yeah, so it's really weird to say that David Lynch isn't my favorite director anymore. I'm pretty sure I said a few years ago that David Lynch is gonna be my favorite director forever, but it didn't go like that. And I think before Lynch I also used to say that about Kubrick, so I should kind of learn that opinions change, and I've always been someone whose taste keeps on changing. I know some people have a very set taste since they are like a teenager and onwards, but to me I've always been kind of very open-minded about art, so my opinions still keep changing, even though I'm now closer to being 30 years old than I am 20 years old, and I actually really like that. I really like that kind of rigid mindset of like always just being into the same things for the rest of your life. I kind of like that I'm evolving and changing a little bit, although many things still stay the same, of course. But I haven't done the kind of manual change on Letterboxd yet, so there you still see that David Lynch is number one, but maybe I should really change it now. Yeah. And then in terms of my directors list in general, obviously I have like a top 40-ish list on my Letterboxd if you are interested. And it has been pretty much the same in the past couple of years. It hasn't changed that much, although the latest addition to the list is Nobuhiko Obayashi. I watched quite a lot of his films in 2023, and I continued that trajectory in 2024, and now I've seen so many of his films and I love so many of them, and even the ones I don't love I still really like. He's a very consistent director, and I love his whimsical and optimistic style. He is clearly a radical humanist, which I also consider myself to be, so I really relate to the themes of his films, and I love the style, and he's a very unique voice. I don't think there is another director I would really compare to him, as he has such a magical and just one-of-a-kind style, and I just absolutely love him, and really hope his films would become more and more accessible through kind of more official methods. I mean, they've been becoming more accessible recently, but yeah, he has a pretty big filmography, so there's a lot more work to do to make them more accessible and restore them and stuff like that. But Internet Archive is a very good source for watching Obayashi. They have good prints of many of his films. Then Rare Film website has some of his stuff, YouTube has some of his stuff, Criterion channel has some of his stuff, and then some of his stuff is also on Blu-ray. And then I've of course mentioned Kiyoshi Kurosawa many times recently, and I think he is kind of on the cusp of entering the top 40 as well. But yeah, I still want to see a bit more of his films and also rewatch films like Tokyo Sonata and Cure. Yeah, but he's very close. Yeah. And then there are actually some directors in the top 40 that might kind of not be, they might kind of again exit the list, unfortunately, at some point. There are many directors that I need to rewatch. As you guys know, my opinion of classic Hollywood has really changed. So I think if I went through the works of Sidney Lumet and Billy Wilder again, I feel like I might not like them as much as I used to. So there is a chance that those directors won't be in the top 40 in a couple of years. Although I really hope that I still again love their films. And of course it's hard for me to say, but I'm just kind of going by my experience of the last 2 years that when I've been rewatching some of the classic Hollywood films, many of them I have liked way less now than I used to some more years ago. But hopefully I still love Billy Wilder and Sidney Lumet, but I just kind of have a feeling that they might kind of exit the list in the near future, but we'll see. And I think it's more likely with Sidney Lumet that he will exit the list than with Billy Wilder. Yeah. But yeah, that's some talk about my favorite directors list. Yeah, of course there are also other directors that might go there. I mean, Bellatar is fairly close to getting there. Raul Ruiz, if I can get like decent enough prints of some of his other films that I haven't seen, I think he might become one of my top 40. Yeah. But anyway, let's get into the books. So I'll show the haul first, and then I'll talk about one book that I read. And I actually already showed a small clip of showing these kind of particular books on my shelf, but obviously now they are not on the shelf, but I kind of shot that clip like before this, so I'm gonna edit that in the end. Yeah, but I'll show the book first and then the manga. So I just got this. It's No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, one of the big Japanese 20th century modern classics. And this is actually a brand new version of this. It has a new translation, and apparently this new translation is better than the old one. Apparently the old one is kind of like less readable and kind of stiff, or whatever adjective you want to use. But I've really wanted to read this book for many years now. Apparently it's very depressing, but I'm very much looking forward to it. So it says here, a completely new translation of Osamu Dazai's great masterpiece by award-winning translator Juliet Winters Carpenter. No Longer Human is the story of Yocho Oba, who finds it impossible to form meaningful relationships with family or friends. As a child, he copes by acting the fool, mocking himself while entertaining others. As an adult, he turns to alcohol, sex and drugs. Written in 1948 and based closely on Dazai's own life, the timeless and universal themes of social alienation, failure, and one man's inner torture at his inability to feel like a normal human have made this one of the most widely read novels in Japan. This contemporary translation will be welcomed by all fans of modern Japanese literature, as well as by readers familiar with Osamu Dazai from the widely popular manga and anime series Bungo Stray Dogs, where he's the lead character. Yeah. And there are also some manga adaptation of these, like the Junji Ito one, so I want to read that at some point as well, but I want to read the book first, and this is a pretty short one, so I think I can kind of get to this fairly soon. And yeah, this edition was just released this year, I think, and it's by Tuttle Publishing. I don't think I have anything else from this publisher. But yeah, pretty nice cover as well. But really looking forward to that. Let me know if you have read it. Yeah. But then sorry about that, something dropped on the floor. So then I'll show a manga series that I actually got as a Christmas present from my grandmother. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have this. Now there are 5 kind of huge omnibus volumes of this. So it's Homunculus by Hideo Yamamoto. So he's the guy who wrote Ichi the Killer, which Takashi Miike adapted, so you probably maybe know him from that. But this is kind of I think a psychological thriller. So it says here, Nakoshi Susumu, age 34, lives out of his car. Between spending his days with the homeless and his nights in his vehicle, he has little to his name. When a medical student begins to stalk him, offering to pay Nakoshi a significant sum of cash to undergo strange surgical procedure, Nakoshi initially refuses. But after his beloved car is towed, he finally agrees to take the offer and subjects himself to the operating table. What, if anything, will Nakoshi see differently once he awakens? So I think he's kind of starts to see like some hallucinations after that, and it's like a psychological thriller. Yeah. And I've just kind of browsed through the artwork, and I think based on the artwork, I think I'm gonna love it. It's just so detailed, like, look at that. Like, this type of artwork is what I really love. It's just so detailed and kind of over the top, and yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this. So then the next volume. And these look really nice in the shelf, like you will see later on, so yeah. And the print quality seems quite nice here. Yeah. And I think this series is a good example of why manga isn't just for children, because this is like a very, very graphic story with like sex scenes and all kinds of disturbing stuff also. So I wouldn't like give this to young kids, but obviously there are some people who always denigrate, oh yeah, anime and manga, it's all for children, it's all just Pokemon, and there's no other type of stories, and I hate that. But this is the next volume. Yeah. And I think there's some film adaptation of this as well, but apparently it's not like very good. Yeah. Yeah. Really looking forward to reading this stuff, so yeah. And this next one has a pretty dark cover as well, so yeah. Love the contrast in these pages, so then the final volume. And obviously this say 9 to 10. I think originally this series had 15 volumes of the kind of smaller volumes, but then it was done in 10 bigger volumes, and then the English version, this one is just in these 5 huge omnibuses. So yeah. Yeah. Just yeah. Pretty haunting cover here as well, so yeah. But I'll try to read this very, very soon. And then I've obviously shown some of these in other videos, but I've been getting the 20th Century Boys, so I've shown some of these volumes already, so I'll go through them quickly. So this is the first one that I have already shown. Then the second one, which I've also shown. But I just got the final volumes on like just after the Christmas. I had ordered them way before Christmas, but then they arrived a bit late. So the third one. And you'll also see these in the shelf when I again put the clip later. Yeah, fourth one. Yeah, the fifth one. And these I also want to read very soon. One manga series that I just read is Sucho Oshimi's Blood on the Tracks, and it was the fourth series by him that I've read and absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's about this kind of toxic mother and son relationship, and it's really dark, but kind of funny in a weird way. Yeah, but yeah, Sucho Oshimi is definitely my favorite manga artist currently. Yeah, and he was even before reading that, but this is the seventh one. I think this is the final one that I've shown on YouTube. So then we have the eighth one. Pretty nice cover here as well. Yeah, there are some artwork inside as well. Yeah. Then the ninth one, I believe this guy is the villain called Friend. Yeah. Then the 10th volume. Yeah. Then the final volume of 20th Century Boys, but then there's the sequel series 21st Century Boys. So yeah, this is really nice. The colors, yeah, all of my favorite colors. Yeah. And then this is the 21st Century Boys. It's just one of these volumes, and it's a bit thinner than the others. So yeah. But yeah, glad to have that, and I'm very excited to read my first Naoki Urasawa series. Oh god, this is heavy, having all of these. Yeah. And those obviously cost quite a lot, so I had to pick them up for many months before having the full set. But yeah, that's some manga to you, and then I'll edit the clip of how they look in the shelf here. So here you can see what they look like in the shelf. So we first have Homunculus, all the volumes, and then 20th Century Boys with 21st Century Boys. Then I have this random abstract art book, and then you see Paradise Kiss and Uzumaki. Yeah. And I've been doing some reorganizing in the shelves in general, as I've gotten more books and my shelves are starting to be full. And I really need to clean the shelves, as they have a bit too much dust at the moment. And then you see some more books, and then there are a couple of rows of Blu-rays and DVDs down there as well. And then there you have more books as well. Then my film shelf is obviously on the left, and then this shelf has quite a lot of books as well. Even the Film Buff's bucket list, yeah. And yeah, I need to reorganize a bit more there as well. But yeah, so that's a very quick look at my shelves. And now I'll talk about the book that I read a little bit. So it's this one, Philippe Besson's Live With Me, that I have shown in other videos. But I really enjoyed this. I read it in one day. It is like 145 pages or something like that, and I really got hooked in it immediately. But it's about these young boys, two teenage boys, who are gay, and they start a relationship in secret. It's situated in the 80s, so obviously it wasn't acceptable to be gay then. But one of the boys is more intellectual type. He actually mentions Francois Truffaut and even Zulawski's Possession, which was cool. And he mentions that, yeah, I tried to read Proust, but I couldn't get into it. So there's lots of that type of talk. But then the other guy is that very kind of repressed, kind of emotionally a bit more immature person. But they really love each other, and they have this kind of brief relationship. But then there are two time jumps in here where we see the characters when they are older and whether they are still together or not. but it's all about the passage of time and how, like, while you love something or someone, it might not kind of last, and you might not, like, when you love something but you are kind of separate from that, you might not be willing to do anything about it, even though you have that very strong feeling that you love them. But it kind of shows that how regret builds up in us humans kind of when we are incapable of doing something that we should do. And I got quite emotional when I read this, and there were also many parts of it that I could relate to with some of my own relationships when I was younger. So it kind of really took me back to my own childhood and teenage years, so I really enjoyed that. And again, all the art references were great. The characters were great. I think the prose was really solid, although again, this is a French book, and obviously I've read some of the great French writers like Balzac and especially Flaubert, and comparing to them, yeah, it's not, the prose isn't as good as those classic authors from France, but the prose is still good. Yeah, but I think the main strength here is just the story, the very relatable themes, the good characters also. Yeah, it really makes you think about also your own life, and maybe that if there's something that you are really craving for and you wish for, you maybe should do something about it before it's too late. But we often as people don't do that, and then we end up building this regret in our minds and kind of destroying our psyche simultaneously. So that's kind of one of the biggest human flaws that we have, and I can also relate to that already, even though I'm still quite young, that there are many things in my life that I wish I would have done differently. So yeah, it really makes you think about that. And beautiful ending as well, and this is just the perfect length to read in one day, and yeah, it never gets boring or stupid. Yeah, really like this one. Yeah, would highly recommend it. And then I'll just talk about my weight loss a little bit. So I've now lost 16 kilos, so that's like, what is that, 35 kilos maybe, or is it even a bit more, because 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds I think, so I'm not gonna do the math in my head now, but you can double and a little more with the kilos. Yeah, and I've been doing the fasting thing for a long time now, and I've actually been doing some more extended fasting as well. I mean, my normal schedule is alternate day fasting, so I eat every other day, so there are constant like 38 to 42 hour fasts with that. But after the Christmas, because in the Christmas I had a cheat day, so I didn't eat in the Boxing Day and 27th at all, so I had a 67 hour fast. Then on Saturday I ate 2 meals, and then after that I did another 60 hour fast. And now in the New Year's, again, this is the 1st of January, I ate yesterday and I had a cheat day, and today I'm also eating normally, but then the next couple of days after this I'm gonna fast. And I also have a day trip coming. I have to go to my, again, hometown where I used to live as a kid to run an errand, but I'm gonna come back the same day. Again, it's like hour 45 minutes each way, it's 130 kilometers, so I can do it in a single day. But yeah, I'm not gonna eat anything that day, and then again it will be Saturday again, so I'll have like this another 60 or so hour fast, and then I'll eat. But those, obviously, it sounds like very extreme to people, but it's actually very easy to do those fasts. It's almost easier to do longer fast than shorter fast, because your body adapts to it and you aren't actually that hungry, especially with me, because I have so much extra fat in my body, so your body starts eating the fat. Although you will lose like little bit of muscle as well, but it will be mostly fat, and obviously I'm still young, so I can easily build muscle when I go back to the gym at some point, so I don't really mind if I lose like a little bit of muscle mass, because I know I can put it back on very easily. And I've gone to the gym before in my life, and I get like fairly fast results, So I know from past experience that again I can do it pretty easily then, but I'm not currently going to the gym. I'm just eating right, doing fasting and trying to walk, but now in the winter it's hard to do those long walks, especially now it's been like really awful. The roads have been really icy. Like before the New Year's Eve, couple days before that, I went to the supermarket, and the supermarkets are fairly far away from me, and it was the worst type of roads I've ever seen. Like just full on ice, like an ice rink for 2 kilometers that I have to walk each way, and my city is full of hills as well. So when you go to downhill like this, and it's just full on ice, it's just such a hell to walk through that. But I didn't fall, which I was actually very surprised that I didn't fall. But yeah, it was such an awful, or the roads were just so awful. But I'm currently planning that just when the spring hits, the snow starts melting, I'm gonna do like a very hardcore walking regimen. I mean, maybe it's not hardcore for everybody, but for me it will be. I think I'm gonna try to do the 10,000 steps a day at least, and maybe even more, and that will be nice. Obviously walking is good for the weight loss, but also for one's health in general, for the blood pressure and everything like that as well. So I'm looking forward to the spring already. Again, I don't mind the winter otherwise, but just when the roads are really awful to walk on, that's what I hate. But I don't mind the cold or the darkness. I actually kind of like those two things, but yeah. But yeah, it's going really good, and I think the summer, I usually hate the summer, but it won't be as bad now as I will be way slimmer then, hopefully. So it's not as painful when you are less fat. Yeah, although I still don't like the summer, but it's better when I'm not as fat. Yeah, and we'll see when I reach the end goal. I still have to lose so much weight. Again, 16 kilos sounds quite a lot, but it's not that much when we compare it to what I need to lose, which is like, well, if we go from the starting point, it's like 85 to 90 kilos, so that's fucking insane. So yeah, still so much to lose. But anyway, that's it. Let me know your thoughts about these things. Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't drink coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.